Good evening, everybody. My name is Angela Onochie. It's an honor and a privilege to be speaking with you all this evening. I certainly hope you are complying with all the laid down procedures for COVID-19. I certainly hope you're trying as much as possible to wear your mask and stay safe. Today we'll be talking about who my customer is, who your customer is. Before you even begin to talk about a customer, it means that you are selling something. You are either selling something intentionally or you're selling something not intentionally. For you to have a customer, you are selling, you have a product for sale. Now, I would want to deviate a little bit. Is your product a need or a want? Before we get back to who your customer is. Do you know if your product is a need or it's a want? I believe strongly that if your product is a need, you would sell more. But if your product is a want, you may sell less, bearing in mind that one person's need may be another person's want. I'm trying to move on to the next slide. Give me a second. So as I was saying, is your product, that thing that you are selling, that good or that service, is it a need or a want? I will borrow a leaf from Madam Rose Ogbeche from Lagos Business School. And she said, needs are natural, necessary, and required to be satisfied, while wants are desires that are not essentially necessary. Needs are natural, necessary, and are required to be satisfied, while wants are desires that are not essentially necessary. A proper product aims at identifying and satisfying needs as against wants. What is a need? Food is a need. Clothes, need. Hospital care, needs. Medication, needs. For those of us that are thinking of going into business to sell something, remember, it is better that your product aims at identifying and satisfying a need as against a want. Needs must be met. Needs are natural, they are necessary, they require to be satisfied. People selling water, table water, they are selling a need because water is a need. You sell more when you try to satisfy a need, not a want. But there's a caveat. For some people, one person's need may be another person's want. One person's want may be another person's need. It is your job as a business person to identify your market, identify the needs and satisfy the needs. Once you create that value proposition, you are able to get paid with money. So we'll move on from there. Now, who is my customer? Who is your customer? A customer is a person that receives or consumes your product. The person not only receives and consumes your product, the person has the ability to choose from different suppliers. That's a customer. A customer is the person or an organization that receives or consumes your product. Your product could be a good, could be a service. And importantly, I highlighted on the slide, has the ability to choose between different products and suppliers. For people that drink soda, the person that drinks Coca-Cola from Nigerian bottling company, I believe, is a customer to Coca-Cola. But that person also has the ability to take Pepsi, Biggie, or any other soda drink. That is a customer. The customer consumes your product, receives your product, and has the ability, because you're not the only person selling a particular product. You're not the only person selling a particular product. I'm not just talking to people that sell tangible products. If you're selling a chair, it's a tangible product. If you're providing a service, for instance, I am in the insurance industry. I provide a service of insurance cover. I am selling a product. Even faith-based organizations have their own products. Why? For instance, a church. I like to use this example, well, because of my faith. For instance, a church. If I come to Believers Church today, I have the ability to say, you know what? I don't like the way this usher treated me. I choose to go to Winners Church tomorrow. Remember, a customer is a person or organization that receives, consumes your products, and has the ability to choose from different products and different suppliers. When I talk about by faith, people say, how can you say in church? Somebody might say, how can you say a church is selling something? Oh yes, faith-based organizations have their own products. For Christians, is the love of God. They are selling the love of God. For Muslims, I'm sure they have their own products. For Hindus, they have their own products. A customer is a person or organization that receives or consumes your products and or services and has the ability to choose from different products. So when you keep saying, oh, he's my customer, remember that this customer, unless you people have a contract, a signed contract, this customer has the ability to pick a different product or pick a different supplier. Don't forget that a customer not only consumes your product or receives your product, but has the ability to pick a different product from yours. There's Bonvita and there's Ovaltine. I can choose to say, you know what? I don't want Bonvita today. I want Ovaltine. I want Milo. Customers have a wide range of products and suppliers to choose from. So you need to do a lot to retain your customer. Now, I have gone to a great deal of length to talk about what I would call the external customer. But do you know that within your organization, or even if it's your small business, inside, if you own a tailoring shop and you're 2-3 people in that tailoring shop, do you know that you are customers as well to each other? I would call you internal customers. You know why? If your staff, a tailor, is sitting here, another staff, the person handles the, should I say, the threading machine, another staff, another person handles the button machine. Do you know that if they do not service themselves well, it will affect the eventual products that you're giving to your external customer? Walmart said something. If you're not serving a customer directly, you need to be serving someone who is. The quality of service a customer receives depends on the quality of service your staff, your people, your employees within themselves give to one another. The quality of service your external customer receives depends on the quality of staff. The internal customers, it depends on the quality of service the internal customers within your organization give to one another. I will come back to give an example, but let's give a definition to it. An external customer is someone who uses your company's products or service, but is not part of your organization. If somebody comes from, I work with an insurance company. The person that comes and uses, I sell insurance to the person pays me, is my external customer. The company that you put out your bid and the company, you win the bid and you're supposed to do supplies, that company is your external customer. If you sell water, the people that walk in to buy water from you wholesale, they are your external customer. They have absolutely nothing to do with your organization. They are not part of your organization. Now, watch the difference. An internal customer is any member of your organization who relies on the assistance from another within the organization to fulfill his or her job duties. Like I said earlier, I work with an insurance company. I am a market-facing personnel, meaning I am in revenue generation. I go out there, I source for clients, I give my proposals, I close deals, I bring it back to the organization. I am not an underwriter. The underwriter is a technical person that sits down and drafts the insurance policy. As a matter of fact, the underwriter is the person that rates the risk. If I come and say, okay, Mr. John has a car, his car is 12 million and the car has this, the car has that. In fact, he bought some accessories and added to the car. The underwriter will tell me, you know what, because this car is peculiar, we cannot give the normal rate. Let's increase the rate. Or because this man has gone to a great deal of length to maybe install a tracker in his car, let's reduce the rate. That's the job of the underwriter. Once we agree on rates and the client pays, or the proposers, we call them, pay, is now the underwriter that will sit down, draft the policy. He will draft the policy, ensure everything is watertight, and I will deliver to the client. The person in finance, once the money is paid, is her job to issue the receipt. Now, I depend on the underwriter to ensure that everything the client has requested is put into the policy. I also depend on him to ensure that the policy document gets to the client on time. Now, if I have issues with the underwriter, the technical person, how many of you know that this will affect the output that will get back to the customer? If the underwriter is upset, he makes a mistake, and he takes time, The customer expects his documents to be ready. Maybe if the customer needs a bond, the customer expects his document to be ready in a day and the underwriter is dragging. You know that whatever problems I have with the underwriter will affect the eventual service that gets back to the customer. So it is important for those of you that have staff, 2, 3, 4, 5, it is important that they know that everybody has to give their colleague the highest quality of service. The quality of service you give to your colleague within the organization will determine what the external customer gets, will determine the income that will come in. If you give substandard products to your client or substandard service to your client, how many of you know that that client can never be a repeat customer, or there can never be a repeat purchase? So I want you to please let it sink. The external customer is important, but the internal customer can wreak so much havoc that it affects the product that you give out or the products that you're selling. The internal customer is the member of the organization who relies on the assistance from another within the organization to fulfill his or her job duties. Please remember that the external customer, remember we are talking about who is my customer, who is your customer. You have the external customer, somebody from outside that purchases your product but is not part of your organization. You have the internal customer whose actions or inactions affect your bottom line, whether you like it or not. The actions or inactions of the internal customer, the member of the organization, affect your bottom line. So ensure that your staff work well with each other. Ensure that they understand that the quality of service that they give to each other will determine the quality of service that goes out to the public, to the external customer. Now, this is, I would like to say something that I chipped in. When you're selling your products, when you're, selling your service, there are various actors in the buying process. There are various actors in the buying process. You have people that are gatekeepers, you have influencers, you have initiators, you have deciders, you have customers, you have the consumers. You see, I separated the customers from the consumers because I would like to give an example. I have children. My 11-year-old son will make me buy noodles. I don't particularly eat noodles, but he will make me buy noodles. He is a consumer. I, the buyer, I am your customer. These actors in the buying process are very important to you as a business owner. Extremely important. Extremely important. I may like perfumes. Oh, I love perfumes. But I don't buy. My spouse buys the perfume. He is the customer. I am just the consumer. And I can influence who he buys from. I can influence who he buys from. Children love fast food. We have different fast food outlets in Port Harcourt. Your children are the consumers because they don't have money to pay. but they can make you decide where you buy from. They can say, oh, today I don't want Genesis, I want Kilimanjaro. Children are actors in the buying process. We have deciders, we have initiators, we have influencers, we have gatekeepers. Off of my head, I'm thinking, an initiator. Maybe your organization runs a car hire service, and you find out that you're expending so much on fuel. The admin person may come up and say, oh, there's this gadget that if we buy and we install in the car, it helps fuel consumption. That admin person is an initiator. You may never have thought about that gadget. That admin person is an initiator of a buying process. Think about it. You have gatekeepers. I would want to use an example, from my own experience. Like I said, I sell insurance. When I go out there to deliver a proposal, the man at the gate is literally a gatekeeper. You will not know the amount of power the man at the gate may wield or can wield, because if he says Oga is not in, whether Oga is in or not, Oga is not in, he's an actor in that process. He has a part to play on whether Oga eventually buys your product or your service or not. The secretary is a gatekeeper. You can drop a proposal, for whatever it is you're selling, and the secretary, a guy or a lady, can keep the proposal and it will be there. That person is an actor in the buying process. These are the people that you need to identify when you go out to sell. You won't say, oh, okay, I know the chairman of the company. He's the chairman of the company. He gave me his card. He said I should call him. He will sell. And then you go in and you try to snub everybody. Believe you me, you will not sell. If you sell, you may sell just for a season. Why? Because Chief XYZ is a very busy man. He may not have time to pick your call. He may pick your call the first time, pick your call the second time, and Chief XYZ expects you to develop a relationship with these actors in the buying process. I had a discussion. There was a case study that was put up first at LBS, Lagos Business School. There's a woman. She owns a huge shop in the market. She brings in expensive fabrics. Mr. John is her insurance person. Mr. John comes. But Mr. John knows that is the woman's husband that pays for her insurance. Is in fact the woman's husband that is the financier of the business. Madam is just to just sit down and run the business. In fact, Chief John's accountant is the accountant of Madam. You need to know that while the woman is a consumer, the people in Chief John's office are gatekeepers, influencers, initiators, deciders. You need to know. A gatekeeper controls the flow or access to information. Who is that person that calls you to say, Oga is around, oh, come now, come. That is a gatekeeper. You need to identify gatekeepers wherever you're going to sell. Influencers affect the outcome decision with their opinions. Take, for instance, you come in, with your proposal, you meet the main man himself, and you have put out your proposal. This is this, this is this, this is that. And you now say, okay, we need to take a decision. And say, no, wait, let me call my accountant, or let me call my admin person. Okay, my admin person, Bob, come. Look at this. What do you think? Mr. Bob, the accountant or the admin, they are influencers because they, to a large extent, influence the outcome decision with their opinions. I've already talked about the initiator. I've given an example of the initiator. The initiator suggests the purchase or identifies the need. Deciders make the final decision or approve whether to buy, what to buy, how to buy, and who to buy from. Those are deciders. The customers, the buyers pay for the service. The consumers are the end users of your product or your service. You need to, of a necessity. I decided to add this. You need to, of a necessity, identify the gatekeepers, the influencers, the initiators, the deciders, the customer, the consumer, if you can. If you can, the consumer, if you can. Like the example I gave, the madam that owns a shop that sells expensive fabric, she is the consumer. If you're selling a product to her, all you have to do is go to the shop. Bearing in mind that it's not her that will pay, it's her husband that will pay. But you need to know that sometimes the decider is the consumer. Sometimes the customer is the consumer. Sometimes the initiator is the consumer. As a business person, your eyes need to be open to identify, to know, okay, this is a gatekeeper, this is an influencer, this influencer is also a decider, this decider, is also an initiator. You need to identify this if you're going to break even in business, if you are going to sell. I know we are talking about who the customer is, but the actors in the buying process are extremely important if you want to deliver value and consequently make profit. Remember, if you do not deliver value, you cannot make profit. Now, we have talked about who the customer is. Let me go back. Let me go back to your internal customer before I forget. Your staff, do they know what you are selling? That's another thing. Your staff, you may know what you're selling. The people that work with you, your colleagues, your team members, do they know what you are selling? If you don't know your products, then how can you sell? If you don't know what your products can do, then how can you convince others to buy your products? The people that work with you, do they know what you have on offer? It's okay to open shop. It's okay to set up shop, but you cannot be at the business place 24 hours of the day or the whole working hours of the day. At one point, you will have to step out. The people that you leave in the office, do they know what you are selling? It's product knowledge is very important. knowing what you are selling is very important. There is a tendency to, if you do not know what you're selling, there is a tendency to missell or to unintentionally deceive your customer. Because if you do not know what value a product gives, you may tell the customer something else. There's a saying that says, when use is not known, abuse is inevitable. If you do not know how to use a product, you will abuse it. If you do not know what your product is, how can you sell? You know, people say, oh, okay, I hear there's shoes that is selling now. You jump up, you go and buy shoes. You don't know the type of shoes. You don't know the shoes that somebody with leg issues should wear and somebody with leg issues should not wear. Oh, they are selling clothes now. You jump up. Oh, it is pure water. What value proposition are you giving? What will make somebody leave? Remember, a customer has options. What will make somebody leave another shop and come to you to buy? You need to know your product. You need to know the value you have on offer so that you can adequately market your product, market the value, sell the value, give value, and then get your profits. If you don't give out value, you can never get your profit. I just wanted to add that. So now, what type of business person are you? What type of a business person are you? Are you the business person that all you are interested in is your profit? You're always looking for a way to outsmart your customers. You know, I see people that, you know, come to sell to me, and as I look at them, I just know that this one just wants my money. You just try to fleece the cost. In fact, you see money from your customers as spoils of war. You just say, I fleeced that man. I made money off him. I made money off him. Are you the type of business person that, because we've talked about the customer, so who are you? We know who the customer is. Who are you? Are you the selfish person who is interested in just your personal interest? You're just always trying to outsmart your customers. There are people like that, always trying to outsmart your customers. You know, always trying to draw money. The more money you draw out from your customers, the better for you. You feel better. You feel that, I hit him. I made it. I made it. Professor Juan Elegido of LBS says, you have the warfare mentality. You're not selling, you are in a war. With that type of mentality, you are in a war. And who are you fighting with? Your customer. Because you're trying to outsmart him or her, or outsmart them, trying to fleece them, trying to hit it once and make it. You know, there are people like that. Oh boy, this man has money. No. This thing cost is 500,000, but because I know he has money, I'll tell him it's 2 million. And because the poor gentleman is too busy to check back, to go back and find out the prices, you know, do a price check and all that and benchmark prices, the poor man buys from you, buys the product from you, and you're feeling so good. With 500,000, I would have made a profit, but he bought it 2 million. I'm a good businessman. My dear business person, you are at war, and you are at war with your customer. When you see your customer's money as spoils of war, when you're trying to get as much as you can from your customer, this kind of mentality, the business will not last. Because if I feel that you have robbed me of my money in the name of a sale, trust me, I will never buy from you again. I will never buy from you again. That is me. Because I, as a customer, I would feel taken advantage of. Okay, let me give an example. I went to buy a personal product from somebody late last year, before the year ended. I have not even used the product up to 4 times, and the thing began to fall apart. And I spent premium money on that product. I put it together. I went back to the lady that I bought the product from. I'm like, look at what you sold to me. And she's like, hey, and I bought this thing plenty, oh. I bought this thing plenty. Hey, madam, what are we going to do now? And I was just looking at her. What are we going? You know what we are going to do? Because I spent money to buy this thing. That's what she told me. I spent money to buy this thing. It cost me money. So I will give you another one, but you pay me something. And I said, what did you say? He said, I will give you another one, but you will pay me something. And I couldn't understand. If I sell a faulty product and the customer brings it back to me, it's my place to say, you know what, bring that, take this, I will sort out with my supplier. And this woman insisted that she will give me another one, but I will pay something. That's a warfare mentality. She wants to retain her interest, her profit at all costs. Now that's the opposite side. The type of a businessman who sees his relationship with his client as that of a corporation. This businessman does not seek to exploit, but to cooperate with the customer. Are you that type of business person? This business person thinks of payment from the customer as a fair reward for the value he or she has offered. Are you that type of person? This business person ensures that the product that he or she is offering helps solve the customer's problem or enriches the lives of the customer in some way. Are you that type of person? We are talking about 2 different business mindsets. Do you have the warfare mindset? Do you have the warfare mindset? Or do you have the service-oriented mindset? Businessman A wants to cheat the customer and feels that cheating the customer shows that he is smart. He is smart. I made a fast buck. But businessman B thinks of the customer as part of his business. If it is good for the customer, then it is good for me. The businessman B cooperates with the customer as far as the circumstances allow. We've talked about the customer. What kind of business person are you? Do you have the warfare mindset? Do you have the service-oriented mindset? And I put here many businesses stick to the mindset of service or cooperation because it not only leads to success, it is ethically right. And I got this from Professor Juan Elegido of the Lagos Business School. Why do customers leave? I know that we are aware of all this. Why do customers leave? 1% die, 3% move away, 5% develop other relationships, 9% leave for competitive reasons, 14% are dissatisfied with the product or service, 68% leave because of rude service, poor service, bad service. Dealing with a dissatisfied customer, I would like to say that in dealing with a dissatisfied customer, you have the opportunity to provide value. If a customer comes to you upset, angry, maybe your staff did something, see that as an opportunity for excellent service delivery. In dealing with a dissatisfied customer, you need to listen to him. Listen to them. If a dissatisfied customer comes in, of course, depending on the temperament of the customer, the person may be shouting and shouting and shouting. Sir, I understand. Please sit down. What happened? And let him pour his heart out. He may abuse you. He may abuse your staff. He may cuss at you. Hear them out. Empathize with them. I use the acronym HEAT, H-E-A-T. Hear them out. Empathize with them. Apologize and take responsibility. You know, there's a tendency for us to always try to defend ourselves. A customer comes and says, I don't like this, and you try to explain why the thing happened that way. No! Hear the customer out, apologize, because the more you are explaining why and pointing out where the customer is wrong while he is upset or while she is upset, you aggravate the issue. Calm the customer down, sit down, listen, let the person rant, let the person vent, empathize, I understand, apologize, we are sorry, take responsibility for the action. Especially for business leaders. You cannot say, I know it's my girl that did it. I don't know, that girl does not have any brain. The girl that does not have any brain, you employed her. I know it's my staff that did it, so I don't know why this staff, they act so foolish. You employed them. Take responsibility for the action of your team members as the team lead. In dealing with dissatisfied customers, hear them out, empathize, apologize, and take responsibility for the action, your action, the company's action, your staff action, your team members' action. I want to believe that, I hope that I've been able to give some value this evening. Remember, without the customer, you cannot be in business. We always hear the customer is king. The customer is king. The customer is indeed king, because if there's no sales, your products will just remain. If you have goods for sale, your goods will just remain in the storehouse. If there's no sale, you have money sitting down in your warehouse if there's no sale. So the customer is indeed king. Try to identify who your customers are. Check out if your product or service is a need or a want. Needs must necessarily be met. Needs must be met. If you are not in business, you are about to start a business, search out needs, because needs must be met. Package your products that will meet that particular need. Identify your market, your target market. Ensure that your team members, you as the team lead, the owner of the business, you may know what the product is about, but ensure that your team members, the people that work with you, know what you people are selling as an organization. Ensure that your team members know what you're selling as an organization, and ensure that your team members deliver high quality service to each other, because eventually that determines the quality of service or the product that goes out to the external customer. Thank you so much. Like I said earlier, I repeat, it's been an honor, a privilege to speak to you this evening. I hope you got something this evening. And I also reiterate, stay safe, stay home if your job allows it, if your business allows it. There's a lot of sales happening on social media. Stay safe, stay safe. Wear your face masks when you're going out. Keep handy your hand sanitizers. And I'm sure the good Lord will protect us all. Thank you. It's been nice speaking to you. God bless you and take care.